We've all seen countless movies about daring heists and clever robberies, but this one stands apart. It isn't about an ordinary thief. It's about a man so brilliant, so untouchable that calling him a criminal almost feels wrong. To him, stealing wasn't just survival, it was art. A master illusionist in the shadows, a ghost who vanished before anyone could even blink. This is the story of the one and only Diabolik. The story's main character, the infamous thief, Diabolik, was always dressed head to toe in black. No one had ever seen his real face. He was such an expert at his work that the police could never lay hands on him. One day, after robbing a bank in Italy of priceless treasures, Diabolik was escaping when the police launched a chase. Somehow, they managed to block his way. This time, the officers thought there was no chance he could escape, but suddenly, Diabolik pressed a button in his car. Instantly raising the road beneath him, he slid right over the police cars and sped off, leaving them shocked. But the chase wasn't over yet. Another police team tailed him. This time, Diabolik released poisonous gas from his car, knocking all the officers unconscious. Even then, he wasn't in the clear because Inspector Ginkgo himself was on his trail. But after a while, Ginkgo spotted Diabolik's car, overturned on the road. Strangely, Diabolik was nowhere to be found. Frustrated, Ginkgo realized he had slipped away once again. Meanwhile, at a grand party, we see the defense minister Giorgio mingling with other guests. Soon a woman named Eva arrives. Giorgio rushes forward to welcome her. Eva was a famous businesswoman in the city, but not because of her own empire. She had married an aging billionaire, and after his death, inherited all. An aging billionaire whose fortune continued to impress everyone, even after his passing, leaving people amazed by his intelligence and legacy. Hearing these stories sparked a strange curiosity inside Eva. After the party ended, Giorgio offered to take Eva home, but she politely refused. And this leaves one big question. What is the true connection between Giorgio and Eva? The answer slowly begins to unfold as Eva walked away. Inspector Ginkgo suddenly stepped in front of her. She was surprised to see him, but Ginkgo warned her that Diabolik could still be watching her. This immediately made Eva uneasy. Later, while speaking with Ginkgo at a restaurant, it was revealed that Eva possessed an extremely rare and priceless pink diamond. Ginkgo believed Diabolik would eventually try to take it. He carefully asked about her situation, including the hotel she was staying at, her room number, and whether she was alone. Before leaving, he warned her once more not to trust anyone because nobody truly knew Diabolik's identity. He could be the hotel manager, a waiter, or even someone standing right beside her. Eva reluctantly agreed before Ginkgo walked away. Back at the hotel, a waiter named Roberto had been specially assigned to assist Eva. One evening, Roberto chatted with his friends about her, unaware that a hidden device inside Eva's room was secretly transmitting every word directly to Diabolik. Later that night, while Roberto was on his way home, a mysterious figure confronted him. It was Diabolik. Roberto suddenly disappeared, and Diabolik concealed all traces behind. Soon after, Diabolik repeatedly listened to Roberto's recorded voice, carefully practicing until he could perfectly imitate the way Roberto spoke. Then, for the very first time, we finally get a brief glimpse of Diabolik's real face. The story then shifts to a woman named Elizabeth, who becomes deeply worried after her husband Walter had not returned home for several days in disguise, keeping a close watch on Eva. When Eva went into the bathroom to take a shower, Diabolik seized the moment and tried to open her locker. Inside it was the rare pink diamond. Strangely enough, such a priceless gem had been kept in such a simple locker that Diabolik cracked it open within minutes. But just as he was about to pull the diamond out, Eva stepped out of the washroom, forced to hide. Diabolik quietly watched her from the shadows. When Eva noticed him, she smiled and casually asked, "Do you need something?" She dismissed him, and Diabolik quietly left. That same night, Elizabeth returned home to find her husband Walter waiting for her. Overjoyed, she ran into his arms. But here's the twist. Walter was actually Diabolik himself, though. Elizabeth had no idea. Walter told her he had only come to see her briefly, but couldn't stay long, as he had urgent work. Disheartened, Elizabeth begged him to stay for dinner, but Walter refused and left. Meanwhile, Eva visited Giorgio. During their meeting, Giorgio tried to get close to her, but Eva rejected his advance. Furious, Giorgio revealed his real connection with her. He was actually Ava's fiancé and they were soon to be married, but looking at Ava's face, it was clear that love had nothing to do with this engagement. With clever excuses, she slipped away. With this engagement, with clever excuses, she slipped away, told him the pink diamond he wanted was actually fake and that the real one wasn't with her. Diabolik didn't believe her to him. It was impossible that a wealthy woman like Eva would wear a fake jewel. Eva explained that she only wore the fake diamond to maintain her image. The real one had been sold long ago. Still skeptical, Diabolik threatened her. "If you're lying, next time, I won't come for the diamond, I'll come for your life." But even this didn't scare Eva. Instead, she tried to seduce him. The truth was, after hearing so much about Diabolik, she had developed a strange fantasy about him, and now that he stood before her, she couldn't resist. But Diabolik wasn't so easily swayed. Just when Eva tried to get closer, he vanished into the night, leaving her even more intrigued. At his secret hideout, Diabolik examined the diamond and realized Eva had been telling the truth. It was indeed fake. The scene shifts to midnight. Elizabeth wakes up and steps onto the balcony where she sees a strange man in a black coat slipping out of the garden. Terrified, she rushes back inside, only to hear footsteps within her house. Panic set in. Could it be Diabolik returning? Gathering her courage, she followed the sound, only to find Walter standing there. Relieved, Elizabeth told him everything, but Walter brushed it off, insisting she must have imagined it. After all, she had been drinking earlier that evening. Slowly, Elizabeth convinced herself it was just a misunderstanding. The next morning, Eva woke to a shocking discovery. The fake diamond ring had been returned to her room by none other than Diabolik. She was stunned. Slipping in during the night was one thing, but how had he managed to enter her hotel in broad daylight? Confused, she called for Roberto. Roberto never knew Walter was really Diabolik, but why did he choose to reveal his identity only to Eva? The answer was clear. He had begun to like her the night before. She had every chance to expose him, but instead, she had stayed quiet. That's what made him trust her, even if just a little. Eva, already fascinated by Diabolik, was overwhelmed to finally see him. She couldn't resist, and the two grew closer. She then asked him, "You trust me now?" Diabolik was torn. His heart wanted to believe her, but his mind refused. During their conversation, another shocking truth emerged. From the very beginning, Diabolik had been circling around Eva. In fact, the very first day when Inspector Ginkgo had warned her about him, that wasn't Ginkgo at all. It was Diabolik himself in disguise. Shaken, Eva finally asked him his real name. Diabolik replied, "People know me as Walter. The world only knew him by the name Walter, but even that wasn't his real identity." Eva quickly realized that Diabolik would never reveal his true self to anyone, so she didn't press further. Instead, she began sharing her own truth. Eva told him about Giorgio. She confessed that she never wanted to marry him, but she couldn't refuse either. The reason: Giorgio held some highly sensitive documents from her past, dark secrets that, if revealed, would destroy her reputation forever. Giorgio had threatened her if she said no to the marriage, he would expose everything. With no other choice, Eva was forced to say yes. Eva was forced to say yes, Roberto, and explained that he would use a special code, a sign only she would recognize. The two carefully planned their meeting. Meanwhile, the hotel manager began searching for Roberto, who had mysteriously vanished. From the reception desk, he learned that Roberto had last been seen entering Eva's room but never came out. Suspicion grew, and the manager immediately rushed to her room. Eva had no choice. She quickly hid Diabolik inside her wardrobe. Pretending to have just been woken up, she opened the door and acted annoyed that her sleep was disturbed. She tried hard to keep the manager from entering, but he forced his way inside, looking for excuses to check around. Casually, he asked her about Roberto. Eva lied, saying he had come in the morning to serve her breakfast, and she hadn't seen him since. But the manager wasn't convinced. He insisted on searching the entire room. Realizing that his suspicion was real, Eva cleverly used a sound code to alert Diabolik inside the wardrobe. Then, pretending to cooperate, she sent the manager to check the bathroom. In that brief moment, she quickly helped Diabolik slip out of the wardrobe and escape from the room. Meanwhile, Elizabeth couldn't stop thinking about what she had seen the previous night. Deep inside, she was sure she hadn't imagined it. Determined, she went into the garden to investigate. After searching carefully, she actually discovered a hidden passageway. As she stepped on a button hidden under the grass, the ground shifted open, revealing a secret underground entrance. Terrified, Elizabeth slowly stepped inside. What she saw made her blood run cold. Rows of masks lined up, strange chemicals stored everywhere. It became clear this was Diabolik's secret hideout. Horrified, she immediately alerted the police. Inspector Gingot arrived with his team, and after checking everything, they too became convinced. Waiting anxiously for him. Hours passed, but he never showed up. She began to think he had abandoned her on purpose. But then, overhearing people around her, she picked up a newspaper, and the shocking headline hit her. Diabolik had been arrested by the police. That very day, he was presented in court. Eva, too, attended, trying to communicate with him through subtle gestures. But Diabolik didn't look at her even once, because even a single glance could make the police suspicious of her involvement. As expected by Inspector Ginkgo, the judge declared the harshest punishment, death sentence. Yet even after hearing it, Diabolik's face showed no fear. His calmness was chilling. Meanwhile, Eva quietly slipped away from court and went straight to a wall nearby. Pressing the third brick, a secret door opened and a car slid out in front of her. Driving it straight to Diabolik's secret base, she collected 2 special chemicals. But here came the real twist. How did Eva know about his secret hideout? How did she know exactly which chemicals to take? The truth was back in the courtroom, though. Diabolik never looked directly at her. He had secretly communicated with her through eye-coded language. Following his silent instructions, Eva had retrieved the chemicals. Next, she went straight to Giorgio's office. Seeing her, Giorgio was shocked. Eva pleaded with him to allow her one last meeting with Diabolik before his execution. Giorgio flatly refused, knowing that such a meeting would raise questions. But Eva wasn't one to give up. She reminded him that as the defense minister, arranging such a meeting would be easy for him. Then she blackmailed him. If he didn't help, she would refuse to marry him. To seal the deal, Eva pretended to be madly in love with Giorgio, convincing him with her act. Convincing him with her performance, they revealed the executions weren't carried out by hanging, but through a brutal public punishment. The executioner prepared the blade if his Diabolik was brought forward. Yet even with death moments away, his expression remained cold and fearless. Watching this, Inspector Ginkgo became uneasy. At the execution grounds, something felt wrong. Diabolik stood unnaturally calm, almost lifeless. One officer whispered, "Sir, it looks like he's been heavily sedated." Instantly, Ginkgo's instincts kicked in. He shouted for the execution to stop, but it was already too late. The blade came down. As the masked figure collapsed, Ginkgo rushed forward in shock and tore away the disguise. To everyone's horror, it wasn't Diabolik at all. It was Giorgio, the defense minister himself. Panic spread through the court. A powerful minister had just died before their eyes, while the notorious criminal Diabolik had vanished without a trace. The biggest question remained: how had he pulled it off? The truth was finally uncovered. Eva's desperate request to see Diabolik, Giorgio's agreement, and the mysterious chemicals she collected were all pieces of a carefully designed escape plan. Years earlier, Diabolik had created highly realistic masks of both himself and Giorgio. Eva hadn't only retrieved chemicals that day, she had secretly taken the masks as well. Together, they drugged Giorgio, forced him to reveal the location of Eva's hidden documents inside his private locker, and obtained the password. Then came the final move. Disguising Giorgio in Diabolik's appearance, they sent him toward the execution grounds, while the real Diabolik escaped unnoticed by taking on Giorgio's identity. A flawless deception. Soon after, Diabolik, now disguised as Giorgio, calmly entered the minister's office as if nothing had happened. The moment Diabolik entered the minister's office disguised as Giorgio, chaos quietly began spreading across the city. Authorities realized the legendary thief was still alive, and Inspector Ginkgo immediately ordered a full lockdown. Maximum security was activated everywhere. Roads were sealed, alleyways guarded, and even underground tunnels were surrounded by armed police. Every possible escape route was watched, but they underestimated Diabolik once again. While the police tightened security above ground, Diabolik was already moving beneath the city through the underground tunnels. The path was covered with motion sensors and sound detectors designed to catch even the smallest movement, but Diabolik stayed one step ahead. Using his genius, he released water through nearby pipes, creating enough noise to confuse the sensors and hide his footsteps completely. Within minutes, Diabolik broke into the heavily guarded bank, bypassing every security system with ease. But just as he secured the treasure, the police surrounded the building. A fierce clash erupted, and Inspector Ginkgo finally brought Diabolik down. Believing the chase was over, Ginkgo stepped closer until Eva suddenly appeared and rescued Diabolik before the officers could react. Days later, Diabolik and Eva vanished together, leaving behind the priceless diamond and proving once again that the legendary thief could never truly be caught.